Hi there, this is Dani, and the channel's You and Me Living Free. Every time I'm editing a video, I try to find a selfie of me from the day, and I put it in at the beginning when I'm doing my intro. And that looking like a wannabe bank robber is the only selfie I took during this whole experience. So it just kind of cracks me up even looking at it. I'm just going to let some of the images run while I start this story. There's so much here. That it does crack me up and also terrify me. So if you know me or you've been watching my videos, you know I have a fear of heights. And so I've been challenging myself, kind of pushing myself here and there to do hikes that are challenging, to do bridges that are challenging, to do driving through mountains and things like that that's challenging. This is just another thing like that. I go through Albuquerque every time I go out west, and if you've been watching me again, you know I love to go out west. I've been traveling over 8 months, and I haven't been out east yet. So every time I go, I usually take I-40 across the southern United States, the Southwest, and this is in Albuquerque. Now, usually once I decide to go home, I'm ready to just snap my fingers and be there. So I do enjoy having things I look forward to along the way. I find that it helps my mentality. It helps my attitude stay good and everything. And I really was looking forward to this. I'm going to also apologize because the video on this is not good at all. And the reason is this. A little later, I'm going to pan around to the people a little bit, but this thing was packed with over 40 people. The woman in front of me literally had a tablet in one hand and a cell phone in the other hand, and she's straddling, holding them both up to try to capture views with zero consideration for anyone else. And not only was there her, but there were just a ton of people. So everywhere I look or try to shoot, I've got too many people. So I'm just capturing what kind of view I can. Here's the other thing. I'm freaking scared. We're approaching this first tower. There are 2 towers across this tram ride. We're approaching the first one. Here's the guy right in front of me. I mean, we're just packed in here like sardines. Here's what I'm going to show you. You're going to see us, as we start to sway back and up and down, back and forth, because that is us stopped at the tower. And the guide told us when that was going to happen. And I will say it really freaked me out. And we're pretty high off the ground here, but nothing compared to what's coming. So just take that. But I was scared. I can't even take any video of what it looks like to look down. Number one, I couldn't get the space on the wall. I was not against the window. I was, like 2 people in on both sides. So I was toward the middle of the car, which made it extra challenging. But here you have a little bit of a view. You can also see that second tower clear up there in the middle of our screen at the very top. You can see the second tower, which is where we are headed, but let's keep going. And so, again, I apologize for my videography. Not great. This is just what I happen to be able to see out of my little corner, but you can tell, okay, it was gorgeous. The scenery was truly magnificent. Now here you can tell I'm still doing okay. I was kind of freaked out when we stopped, but I'm still kind of doing okay because we are not that far from the bottom. Now, if we fell, we would still all die, but in my mind, it's better to be close to the bottom rather than far away. It just helps with my fear of heights, even though logically, like I said, I'd be dead either way. Oh, sure, I can laugh about it now that I survived and now that I'm editing this video. But here in a minute is when shit gets real, I'm just going to say. There's a woman with her tablet. Anyway, shit's about to get real because here's what's going to happen, and I'm going to show you as much as we can with the video. So we're coming across a big rise in these mountains. And we're coming across the peaks right now. We're getting ready to. We're coming up to the peaks. Soon after the peaks hit, we have another tower. Well, what happens between the peaks and the tower is an enormous drop off. So where we're about to go, which unbeknownst to me, I did not know, where we're about just now, I'm honestly thinking, okay, maybe I'll survive this. Maybe the worst is over. I'm doing it. I'm okay. I'm still alive, right? And this is beautiful. Look at that. So I'm kind of calming myself, and then everything, the shit hits the fan, as they say. So here you can see us kind of coming across, and immediately I'm freaking out because the guide told us at this point, we are 900 feet off from the bottom. And I can't even show you the bottom. Number one, there's too many people. Number two, I was way too freaked out to look at it. Look how beautiful that is when you're nice and safe just watching it on the screen. Now I can appreciate its beauty. At the time, I was like, who gives a flying crap? I don't care, was really what I thought at the time. At this point, the announcer is letting us know that in the car coming across, there's a worker on top. And it happened so fast that you couldn't really see it. Let me see if I can slow that part down or throw in a picture. Here he is. There's a freeze frame from the video. Oh my goodness. I can't even imagine. Cannot even imagine. Now, I thought I turned my camera off and I didn't. So here's what's happening.
Our water up there, it's 15,000 gallons to restore. That's why you folks were at the base waiting. You see that water still leaking. And you can see that maintenance guys on top of the tram car there. It's like one out of 30 tram rides you get to see that, and you've seen that as you see it. It's pretty cool. Slowing down here is the highest point off the ground. If we stop here, it means we're gonna drop off the maintenance workers at that tower. We'll see and find out here. Yeah, I believe we're gonna stop here for about a minute, folks. So if you look out behind us.
So I'm not sure if you caught that, but we're at the second tower, and the guide just told us we're stopping for like 5 minutes so that worker who was on the first car is going to come across the tower and I think get onto our tower to get onto our cart to go up the rest of the way on the tower. And he goes on to tell us how lucky we are to be getting these 5 extra minutes at the tallest point. So at this point, I'm in pretty bad shape, trying to breathe very deeply. I am crying, but I'm trying not to do the ugly cry so that everybody won't know that I'm crying. So I'm trying to kind of keep it to myself. If anyone noticed me starting to just breathing funny or just trying to take control of my breathing, then no one said anything. I think most of the people in the tram car were pretty well at ease. Some of them might have been a little bit nervous and being quiet about it. But this was the most terrifying part for me by far. And I'm even surprised I am even videoing, but I think it probably helped. At the time, it helped maybe just to even focus on those peaks up there, to have something to look at, to take my mind off of exactly what was happening. Then this other thing happened. So after all this recording, my camera, my phone, gave me the message that I could no longer take video because my memory I didn't have enough storage to continue taking video. So from here on out, all I have is pictures because I deleted some things, but it wasn't enough. I didn't delete anything down here, but when I got to the top and was on somewhat stable ground, I deleted some stuff, but I still couldn't take any video. So these are just a few of the pictures as we continue up, and thank goodness we're getting very close to the top. There's part of the lookout station. There's a restaurant up there. There's there's a shop up there. There's a restaurant. There's more than one restaurant. See, look how beautiful that is. I didn't care how beautiful it was. I didn't care at this point. I actually went out onto this red deck to take a couple of pictures, even though I couldn't care less about these pictures. I was so ready to be back down on solid ground that I was jittery. My legs were weak, and I was just ready to be back on solid ground, and I knew I had to face the ride down. it's like knowing that I had to go all the way back down the same way I came up, and knowing that for me the ride down would probably be even worse than the ride up. I knew I couldn't enjoy a single thing up there. There was no point in me sitting at the restaurant and getting a drink. There was no point. I just needed to do it like the Band-Aid, rip it off, and get back down to the bottom, get back down to solid ground. And so what I did was I spent literally not even 5 minutes up there. I walked around to where you would enter the tram to go back down. Well, as you can imagine, there was nobody. There was not one single other person who was ready to go back down. And the trams work on pulleys, so as one comes up, one has to go down. The only person ready to go back down was our tour guide. His name was Terrence. And so this is the story of me and Terrence alone on the tram on the way down. I'll start by telling you, just because we have these pictures, that these pictures were taken by Terrence. I literally almost could not move. I was kind of paralyzed. The way down was worse than the way up. If you look closely on this tower, you will see a guy standing there, a worker with a yellow cap and a yellow vest. Again, Terrence was taking these pictures. And so you can see we are 10,300 feet in the air as we are coming down, and it was so scary. So here's the story of me and Terrence. Terrence and I completely bonded when we were on the ride down, and here's the deal. I got on to the tramway, but I was asking him, are you sure it's okay that there's only two of us? Will the tram car move from side to side? Is it windy enough to push us around? Is it safe to only go with two people? He could tell I was scared. When I stepped onto the tram car, he would kind of ask me questions and I would stutter. I couldn't speak properly. When he said, do you want me to take a picture of the sky on the towers? I was like, that would be great. I couldn't remember the code to my phone to get it to open. It took me like 5 seconds or so, I would say, 10 seconds to remember the code at all. So that's just to give you kind of my state of mind. And I really couldn't take pictures because I was too afraid to look down. I took a few pictures looking straight out at what I was looking at, but mostly you could see Terrence was right across from me. I was sitting in the only bench they had on it was just this little bench in the corner, and it was for a handicap spot. And I was sitting there, and Terrence was directly across from me, and he got down on the floor so I could just look at him. So the whole ride home, I focused on him, and Terrence told me stories about him working here on the tramway at Sandia Peak. He told me he's been here for like 6 years. He told me about meeting celebrities. He told me, listen to this, the workers that get out on the lines and ride above the tram cars and get out on these towers and actually do the repairs on the cables and the stations and everything, they're the same people who are doing the tours. It's the same guy who was there with me talking, was the same person who gets up there and does those repairs. Okay, and then he was like, we really need help. We're very short-staffed. I'm like, are you kidding? How could you ever find any person who's willing to do both of those things? Like, I don't know. This whole thing kind of blows my mind. Terrence also told me in the beginning, before he realized, I think, how terrified I was, he told me how lucky I was to be going down alone. He said that people pay $1,500 to ride alone or with one other person or with their family or whatever, which makes sense because each ticket is about $40, and they usually fit like 50 people onto each car. We only had 40, but it seemed pretty packed at 40 people, but normally they do 50. So also the friend who told me about this place in the first place, or I wouldn't have even known it existed, she said that she and her husband rode the tram up, and then they hiked to the bottom. And this picture, if you can see the guy, I'll put an arrow. This I put in here for Kelly, and this also helps to give you some scale. So there's this guy. We're taking the picture from the tram, and then in the next shot we're just gonna zoom out instead of zooming in, and you can see his little dot of a body. There he is. And so it just helps to give you an idea of the scale of this whole thing, of this whole endeavor, of these mountains and of you in the tramway going up and kind of what it's like, just to give you a hint of an idea. And also kudos to my friend Kelly who made it down this whole thing. Terrence told me his story about coming down 10 miles. Terrence is in amazing shape, and it was very, very, very challenging for him. He also shared stories of people who'd been rescued trying to go down and couldn't make it. This is dedicated to Terrence, too, who basically saved my life, or at least saved me from serious panic attacks and terror over my imminent death by keeping me engaged, by knowing I was really scared, by looking at me. He kept using my name, too. I'm going to cry as I'm saying this. He'd start a sentence and he'd say, "Well, Dani," and he kept me engaged and he kept telling me stories, and it was like a 20-minute ride down the mountain, and he was a godsend. And I was really thinking about it later in the day and later on in the days that followed about this experience, and just being in a place of real vulnerability, being willing to share when you're scared, when you're not at your best, it opens you up to connect to other human beings on a deeper level. And I feel like that's part of why in my channel, I feel like I get to know some of my viewers who comment. Because we're not just sharing, oh, this is the good rosy stuff, this is the highlight reel. We're sharing real stuff back and forth. And that is what makes the connections. And to me, that's what makes life worth living. I could have gone on this tramway without my fear of heights, and I could have got some beautiful scenery shots, or I could have been annoyed at all the people, or I could have had just a completely different experience. What happened was, yes, I was afraid, but I was proud of myself for having bravery, having courage to do it anyway. I got to meet this other person, this other human being who was fantastic. And now I get to share it with other humans who might have the same vulnerability, but who also want to connect on a deeper level than just the surface. And for me, that is a huge part of what this entire journey is about. Here's Terrence's Instagram. He actually goes by Positive Terrence Tramway. He's just a huge bright light in this world, and I'm so thankful to him. And I just want to close out by saying, first I want to make a couple little clarifications. The top of the tramway where we stopped is 10,300 feet above sea level. The highest point of the tram car itself from the ground is 900 feet. 900 feet is like some of the tallest buildings in this country are around 900 feet. So it just gives you some kind of an idea. If you look up at the tallest skyscrapers, you're in the neighborhood. Anyway, I wanted to make that small clarification. Look at this. You made it to the end of another video. This picture still cracks me up. When I took it, I was like, I really should take a selfie up here, but I didn't want to. I didn't even bother taking my mask off or my hat off because I didn't care, and I knew my eyes were all puffy from crying and stuff anyway. So when I look back at this picture, I'm proud I made it through, but I can also feel that, just kind of that feeling that I had when I was there. So it's interesting. It's interesting going back and editing these videos and thinking about them after they happen. Anyway, thank you so much for being here. I am sending you so much love. Catch you next time.